Hi folks, I've been working on a project as a rigger and technical artist, and I got a really interesting problem that I got to solve, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit. So we've got this incredible piece of artwork by Ami Thompson. I'll link socials to their work. This is not my work, but it serves to illustrate. I'm working on an asset similar to this sword, and the art director wanted to have a kind of toony outline that the animators themselves could interface with. So we could solve this in the rendering stages, but I wanted it to be something that the animators could have access to and customize, as well as other members of the production team, instead of delaying it to after rendering. So we're looking for an effect similar to this, where the animators can actually customize the thickness as well as the taper along the base of the blade. I looked into a couple different solutions and ended up making a custom deformer using Bifrost. My first time using Bifrost was really interesting. So we can take a look at the example here. You can see I've just mocked up over in Maya a simple version of the sword. The deformer's got a couple different components to it. So the first one is the kind of driver of the deformation. So this curve, depending on a pair of view values, will determine the start and the fall off for where the kind of toony outline is present, and it's actually going along this curve. So you can see that we have a kind of custom path, and that the deformation is falling off along. So we've got the actual toony outline itself, and this is just a simple flat geometry extrusion along one side. And this is the kind of projection of what I expect as the rigger to be the kind of the thickest the animators will ever need. So it's about half the width of the blade. And this is the kind of upper target, which of course they can exceed if they need to, but this is a kind of initial projection for that. So this is going to be with the toon outline at its greatest state. Now if we hide that, we have actually the source of the deformation. So there is going to be the driven component, which is we're going to see in a little bit, and it starts off as what is basically a squashed version of this target. So every vertex at the end is just pushed down along. So we have a non-manifold geometry with zero width, and that's going to be the kind of source of our deformation. This is also going to be what is running the Bifrost deformation. Every vertex on this plane is going to be looking at the closest point along this curve, figuring out the weight that it should be applying to the blend shape based upon that distance. So I'll show you what I mean in just a second. And then finally, we have the actual output of the deformer. So you can see as of right now, it's got a width of 0, so it doesn't have, you can't see that toony outline at all. I go into my rig, and I can set this to be a 10. You can see what happens is at the base of the sword, we have that deformer width all the way up to 1. This has just got a 10 multiplier for a little bit finer tweaking. So this has the blend shape is fully weighted towards the end of the sword, and then we can see that it actually tapers all the way to the very tip of the sword. And I can flip that if I want. So you get the tip all the way out at the very end, and then it's going to taper really gently all the way along the sword until you get a weight of 0. And of course, the important bit is the animators to be able to tweak it. So I can say that if I only want just the actual blade of the sword itself to have that toony edge, we can tweak the fall off in between these two parameters and customize that. Or conversely, if I only wanted the handle, I can tweak that. And you can actually see along the handle the kind of best view of how this deformer actually works, where it actually grows along the curve. And that curve you can make look like whatever you wanted. So that deformer, so we can see that scale up Now the blend shaping itself is thrown together pretty quickly, so that on some more complicated areas, you would need some more fine tuning. Um, and then finally, you have a actual multiplier. So if, for whatever reason, animators wanted to go really crazy, you can see we can start getting some really big, dynamic, bold shapes. And the next stage of this is there's actually going to be rigged handles along some of the kind of key parts of this tune geometry so that I can actually pull the spikes out or push and customize the shape.